Hello everyone and welcome to today's lecture. So today we are going to cover the rest of SA 700 series. Uh, Till last lecture, what we did is we discussed various SA 700 like 700, 701, 705, 706, where we discussed about different paragraphs or the of the audit opinion. We discussed about whole audit report. We discussed about the modifications in the audit report. We discussed about the key audit matters, emphasis of matter paragraph, other matter paragraph, and many more things with that. Okay. So just to provide a quick recap of previous lectures, we started with SA 700, where we discussed about audit report, where I presented a audit report and we discussed in detail, okay, how the audit report looks like, what are the key things of the audit report, okay, how audit report is made up of, what are the contents, different paragraphs of the independent auditor's report, including title, including other paragraphs which are there, okay. So I'll just show you a glimpse of the audit report that we discussed in the last lecture. Remember something like this we discussed in the last lecture, wherein we discussed about the different paragraphs of the audit report, key audit matters, then opinion, then auditor's responsibility, management responsibility, and everything we discussed in detail. Okay, these are certain paragraphs from where they are coming in, what is the basis of having these lines and sentences in an audit report. Okay, then we discuss about modifications, like, okay, how modifications are there in a particular audit report. Okay, how we draft a particular wording for a modification. Even we saw how we draft the wordings for emphasis of matter paragraph, or you could say going concern paragraph. So that was explained in the last lecture also. Like, if you can see on screen, this is somewhere we discussed about qualified opinion, basis of qualified opinion. Okay, material uncertainty paragraph, emphasis of matter paragraph. All these things were discussed in last lecture. Plus, we discussed about other matter paragraph, other information which are part of our audit report as per as per SA 7010, sorry, SA 706. Okay, so that we discussed. Now, today we are going to discuss SA 710 and SA 720. So, first, we need to understand what is SA 710 and where it is coming in our audit report. Okay. So, SA 710 talks about comparative information, corresponding figures, and comparative financial statement. SA 710 talks about comparative information, okay, corresponding figures and comparative financial statement. Now, if you see SA 710, okay, it helps you to understand, okay, which are comparative informations. It can be either corresponding figures or comparative financial informations. Okay, it helps you to understand what are these things and how you need to report these items in the audit report. Okay, so let us see. Okay, now when I talk about comparative information, okay, when I talk about comparative information, so what is comparative information for me? Comparative information is something that amount and disclosures included in the financial statement. Okay. So if I have included any amount or disclosure in financial statement in respect of any, like, it can be one, it could be more, but any one or more prior periods in accordance with my financial reporting framework, that becomes my comparative information. Okay. So comparative information goes to amounts disclosed in financial statement for or of one or more prior periods. Okay. One or more prior periods. Okay. As per applicable financial reporting framework. That is comparative information. Now, my comparative information can be of two types. One, it could be corresponding figures. Either I could call it a comparative financial statement. So you'll understand both in detail. Okay. Now, when I talk about corresponding figures first, corresponding figures included in current year financial statement, read only, okay, figures, okay, in my current year financial statement relating to, and given and disclosed with current year numbers. It's basically, if I talk about, it is not that much detail when it is given. It is only given uh, for the purpose so that you can understand the current year figures in more clarity, and they are considered current period figures only, or you can say they are disclosed in such a way that they are near to current year figures. So for example, let's say I am giving a number, let's say revenue. Okay. Instead of showing whole balance sheet or P&L of last year, in a note I give, okay, this was the revenue breakup of last year, this is the revenue breakup of the current year. Let's assume that's allowed as per my financial reporting framework. Okay. And I somewhere, just explain the breakup of the revenue. Okay, this was the breakup of the revenue last year, and this is for the current year. Now I'm giving corresponding numbers over here in a sub in a in not much detail, but at a level which is intended to be only read only, okay, in relation to the amount of the current year. Or let's say, for example, for the commission, let's say sales commission. So somewhere I say that, okay, last year the sale commission was this, current year is this, because there is an increase of, let's say, X percentage, because there was an increase in sale of this much from compared to the last year. So if I give this statement in my financial statement, in that case, I'm giving a number which is only for read only purpose. Okay. Only the purpose is read only. Okay. It is not a detailed comparison, but only read only, so that you can understand the current year number in more detail. So that will go to my corresponding figures. Okay. So corresponding figures are the comparative information only. It's a CI, comparative information, where the amounts and other disclosures amount and other disclosure for the prior period are included as integral part, okay, of current period financial statement. Current year financial statement. And very important part is are intended to be read only. Are intended to be read only in relation to the amounts and other disclosures of current year. And I'll highlight this thing. Are intended to be read only. That's the main thing we need to understand for the corresponding figures. Now, why I am emphasizing for this, I'll tell you when I'll explain the definition of comparative financial statement. Okay. Now, comparative financial statement. When if I present the comparative information, okay, where the amounts and other disclosures of for the prior period are included in comparison with the financial statement for the current year, and if audited are referred in the auditor's opinion. So when I present the comparative information where the amount and other disclosures are okay, and other disclosures of prior period are included in comparison, included for comparison, okay, with financial statement of current year, and if audited then are referred in auditor's opinion. Okay, are referred in the previous year financial statement. Whereas if I talk about the level of presentation, the level of detail presentation in corresponding amounts and disclosures is primarily by relevance to the current year figures against which I'm presenting the corresponding numbers. Okay. Now, why I was focusing on when I was discussing corresponding figures on read only to be reason, because when I say comparative financial statement, if you see, it's for the comparison purpose with FS. So my role to present comparative, sorry, as a management's role to present the comparative financial information is for comparison purpose. Okay. So prime purpose for the comparative financial statement is comparison with the current year FS, and if audited are referred in my auditor's opinion. If audited are referred in my auditor's opinion, but whereas for the corresponding numbers, we do not include a separate opinion because we consider that as a part of the current year financial statement, or sometimes we do not issue any opinion on that. So if I talk about corresponding figures, okay, when corresponding figures are presented in the auditor's opinion, when corresponding figures are presented in financial statement, auditor's opinion is not required to refer to the corresponding figures. Okay. If corresponding figures are presented in FS, then auditor's opinion shall not include corresponding figures. Okay. As an auditor, I am not required to include the corresponding figures in my opinion. Clear? Uh, any doubt? Any doubt? Okay, there is one doubt. Whether corresponding numbers and opening balance are same. See, it's upon the purpose for which you are disclosing. It's upon the purpose for which you are disclosing the numbers. Now, if you are disclosing the last year closing numbers or current year opening numbers for the comparison purpose, it will become it will become comparative financial statement. But if you are disclosing only for a particular item and it's only for the read only purpose, then it becomes corresponding numbers. See, on one side, I have a comparative financial statement, which is the level of information included in those comparative financial statement is comparable with the current year financial statement. So I'm talking about whole financial statement. On the other hand, I'm talking about one or two corresponding numbers, corresponding figures with respect to some amounts, with respect to some items. It is only for the read only purpose for the intended, just to enhance your understanding of the current year figures. Okay, so there's a difference. The quantum, the purpose, it defines why you are presenting your opening numbers, and that will decide whether it's a corresponding figure or comparative financial information. Any doubt? Any doubt? How it is presented in or shown in FS? Okay. See, you have seen the comparative financial informations. Okay. Uh, Here in India, we mostly go for comparative financial informations because applicable financial reporting framework requires you to disclose comparative financial information. And we'll come at that particular point when we'll discuss about the current disclosures. I'll show you something also, but that is something, as I told you, it's a comparative financial information part. Okay, comparative financial statement part that we disclose currently. Okay. Now, the purpose or the reason of not having, auditor's opinion on the corresponding figures is that auditor's opinion is on the current period financial statement as a whole. Okay. If I'm issuing my opinion on current period financial statement as a whole, then the corresponding figures are part of that, because I told you that as these are for the read only purpose and they are considered as an integral part. Okay, they are considered as an integral part of the financial statement itself, because they are intended to be read only purpose, and they are intended to be, they are intended to be basically to enhance the understanding of the current year numbers. So they are considered integral part of the current period financial statement, and that's why we do not issue a separate opinion on the corresponding numbers. Okay, so they are considered integral part of my current year financial statement. Okay. Now, when there are some exceptions when I am required to opine on, or I'm required to issue opinion on my corresponding numbers. There are scenarios where I am supposed to issue an opinion on corresponding numbers. So exception to this particular point. Okay. Now we'll understand that particular exception. Now, let's say for example, okay, there was an auditor's report in previous year. And in that year, that auditor issued an adverse opinion or disclaimer of opinion, or let's say qualified opinion on that, on a particular item, let's say payroll. Okay. Now payroll was unresolved and auditor issued an adverse opinion or qualified opinion or disclaimer of opinion, let's say. Okay. Or then what happened is it resulted in it was unresolved. My payroll liabilities were, still misstated or are overstated or understated, whatever be the issue. Okay. Now, if that liability was misstated in the previous year, if I am now quote that liability as a corresponding figure in my current year, so that is already misstated, I know, because there was a modification in last year. That is also unresolved now. Okay, not resolved till date. So what should I do? What should I do? In that case, I need to refer to both current period figures and the corresponding figures in the description of the matter that is giving rise to the modification. Okay, when I'll write basis for qualified opinion, basis for adverse opinion or disclaimer of opinion at that particular point in time. Okay, if the effects or possible effects of those misstatement is material, then I will quote the current year figure plus corresponding figure in my opinion, because that corresponding figure is misstated and it's integral part of my current year financial statement. It's present in my current year financial statement, but it is misstated. So I'll report that number. I'll mention that number in my opinion in the description of the matter that is giving rise to the modification. Okay, so if there was a misstatement in last year with respect to a amount corresponding number which is still unresolved, and because of which there was a qualified adverse or disclaimer of opinion, why am I'm saying three these? Because the impact will be of such nature that it will be material. Then only I will issue a qualified adverse or disclaimer of opinion. So I will include that modification if it is unresolved in my current year opinion. Clear? Or I can modify when I can say that, okay, because the previous year numbers were there is a misstatement which is unresolved. Okay, and then I'll explain in my audit opinion that audit opinion has been modified because the possible effects and effects of the unresolved matter that was there in the last year has a material impact on my comparability of my current year figures and corresponding figures. So I cannot compare because there is a material misstatement. In that case, I will opine on my corresponding numbers. So if in last year there was modification and was unresolved. Okay, there was a modification and unresolved. Then auditor in current year, okay, in current year shall refer both my current period, current year or period figures, current year figures, and corresponding numbers, corresponding figures. Okay, shall refer both that current year figures and corresponding numbers along with modification in the opinion. Okay, along with modification in the opinion. Now, modification can be either because my possible effects or effects of the matter or the current year figures are material. Okay, on the current period figures are material, or because of the comparability issue, which is material. Hence, I am issuing a modified opinion. So either the possible effects or effects is material, or the comparability is not proper. So either effects slash possible effects are material, or I could say that unresolved matter, uh, again, either effects slash possible effects of unresolved matter, okay, uh, are are uh, are impacting my comparability. Okay, are impacting my comparability. If that is the case, then I will issue and I will refer the corresponding numbers in my opinion. Clear? And I will refer this fact in my audit report. So this is I'm talking about part of audit report. Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubt, then there is one more exception. We were talking about when my audit report or there was a modification last year which was unresolved. What if there was no modification and still there was a misstatement which I identified in the current year? Means I'm saying that there was a misstatement, but that was not identified in the previous year audit report, but it is identified now. So what if the auditor obtains audit evidence that a material misstatement was present? in prior period financial statement on which an unmodified opinion was issued. But because I performed the testing now, I included the number, I checked the number, and I came to know that there was a misstatement in last year which was not identified. Then auditor is required to verify whether the misstatement has been dealt as per the applicable financial reporting framework, and if that is not the case, means the misstatement has not been dealt, it is still open, then again I'll issue an qualified adverse opinion on the current period financial statement, modified with respect to the corresponding figures therein. Means the corresponding figures that are impacted, I'll again mention those corresponding figures in my opinion. So when the prior period financial statement that are misstated and have not been amended, and the auditor report was issued which was unmodified, okay. So in that case, I need to discuss that particular matter. I need to issue an opinion where I will be issuing the adverse opinion or qualified opinion, wherein I'll talk about, okay, this is a number and this is the comparable corresponding figure, and there is a misstatement. So if in last year unmodified opinion, but there was a misstatement which is unresolved, okay, in that case, similar to on these lines, what I'll do is I'll refer that number in my opinion with modification and everything, with the possible effects and on the comparability side. Okay, it will be same. Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubt, okay. If no doubt, then I have a question. Okay, let's take up that question basically, and let's see how we can do that. Just a minute. Okay, let's say for example, okay. So while presenting the numbers, okay, in no text of financial statement for FY 22-23, okay, for FY 22-23, management presented details of depreciation provided in current year plus and its corresponding figure of financial year 21-22. There was a material misstatement in depreciation figure of FY 21-22, basis which auditor issued a qualified opinion in last year. Okay, basis which auditor issued a qualified opinion in last year. However, in current year, management rectified the amount of depreciation before disclosing same as corresponding figure. Okay, management rectified in the current year, okay, before disclosing the same as a corresponding figure. Kindly discuss the impact on auditor's opinion. Now you need to discuss the impact on auditor's opinion. Again, there was a misstatement in last year because of which there was a qualified opinion, okay, on depreciation number. That number was rectified and presented as a corresponding figure in the current year. What will be impact on my audit, on my opinion? Okay, so let's say for example in current year they have rectified and they have rectified the amount of depreciation and they have disclosed before disclosing the same as the corresponding figure. Okay, so what will be the impact on my auditor's opinion? And when I say, let's say for example, disclosing, so they not only rectified the amount, but they present it appropriately in my financial statement. So I could say addition, like, appropriate amount and disclosures are presented in current year financial statement. Okay, so like for depreciation, this is the case, like appropriate amount and disclosures are presented in current year financial statement. Okay, so when I say rectified, that means amount and appropriate disclosure has been given. Absolutely correct, Purvibel. Very good. Good, Namrata. Come on, guys. How will you present this thing on audit report? How will you present this thing in your audit report? Okay, good for we went. Come on, guys. I am saying the management has rectified the observation. Okay, it was there in the last year. Management did not rectify, but when they presented the corresponding numbers, they rectified the observation. Come on, guys. Not that much difficult. I'm saying there is no basis of the modification in the current year. Okay, that has been rectified. Appropriate disclosures has been made. How will you deal with this particular matter? Come on, guys. How will you deal with this particular matter? Pretty much simple. Trust me. I'm just saying that there is no observation in the current year because the number has been rectified. If the number has been rectified, appropriately dealt, how will you report how will you report as an opinion? Very important. Reason because this will literally give you a clarity on how other assets also play an important role. Okay. See, now, first of all, I need to understand, is there any requirement of modification in current year? Whether there is any requirement of modification in the current year? Yes or no? Is there any requirement of modification of the in the current year? Come on, guys. Yes or no? Is there any requirement of modification in current year? Okay, good. So there is no requirement of modification in current year. Understood. Now, if there is no requirement of modification in the current year, then is this matter of such importance that it can be, fundamental to the user understanding or of significance importance? Can I say this matter is of significant importance? Which is appropriately disclosed and presented in my financial statement? Can I say this matter is of significant importance, which is appropriately disclosed and presented in my financial statement? Yes, because there was a modification with this number in last year, but this year they have rectified. Yes, this carries the importance. This is of significant importance, and it is appropriately, amount is appropriately disclosed and presented in current year numbers. If that is the case, that is a significant importance. Okay, with respect to this number is there, and I could say that okay, the amount has been disclosed appropriately. Okay, the disclosures are appropriate. Then can I include this detail in emphasis of matter paragraph? So it's of such importance. Just a minute. I could say that this number or this amount or this depreciation, okay, in my judgment, okay, first is this is the matter is appropriately disclosed and presented in current year FS. Plus, I could say in my judgment, this matter is of such importance that is fundamental to users' understanding of FS. Now you might have a question that how can I establish the second point? How can I say it's of such importance that is fundamental to the user understanding? So understand one thing. Because of this issue, there was an observation, there was a modification in my audit report last year. So this year, if I'm using the same number, okay, I'm using a rectified number, then it is necessary for the user understanding to point them out that this number has been rectified. That's why my opinion is not modified. Otherwise, everyone will have a doubt. Okay, why? If you are referring to the previous year depreciation number, so previous year your opinion was modified on depreciation. Why it is not modified now? So somewhere I need to bring to the user attention that please, this number has been rectified, and it is of such importance because it can impact my opinion. If it can impact your opinion, it becomes of such importance that is fundamental to the user understanding that this number is rectified. And with these both scenario, if I clarify, if I say, okay, both are present, if these both scenarios are there, then this requires disclosure as per SA 706 in EOM para. So in EOM para, I will bring to the user attention that in last year, the depreciation, there was a misstatement in the depreciation because of which the qualified opinion was issued. However, while presenting the corresponding numbers, the management has rectified and has given effect as per the appropriate requirement of financial reporting framework. Okay, and our opinion is not modified in that respect. And you can refer to the note also where it is appropriately presented. Understood? So I will present that information in EOM paragraph as per SA 706. So it's not only the SA 710 we are talking about, but it can be as per SA, like how different standards play an important role together. That's very important. Any doubt? Any doubt till now with respect to my corresponding numbers? Yes. So when you are answering, and I am okay, my question was specific. What will be the impact on my auditor's opinion? So when I say auditor's opinion, it's not only the asset 10, 710, 700 I'm talking about, it is asset 700 series as a whole. Okay. It could go to SA 570. It could go to any other SA where, it could, where there is a requirement of, impacting on auditor's opinion. It could be SA 600. So you need to consider from a holistic point of view. Okay. Now, coming back to corresponding figures. Okay. Coming back to corresponding figures. So we were discussing about the corresponding figures and the exception where I need to report upon the corresponding figure. Okay. Where I need to report upon the corresponding figures. I'll summarize the corresponding figures, and in a minute we will be, like I will conclude, like, uh, summary also, but just there is one more point. Okay. Now, there are two scenarios when the corresponding figures, okay, when the with respect to the corresponding figures. Now, these scenario are if the prior period financial statement were audited by any other auditor, predecessor auditor. If prior period financial statement were audited by predecessor auditor. Okay, so there was a different auditor in previous year, and there is a different auditor now. Okay, there was a different auditor in previous year. Now there is a different auditor now. So accordingly, there are different auditors, and there is a change in the auditor. Now, if that is the case, okay, if that is the case, then basically what is required to be done? Okay, and how that will impact this? Okay. Basically, when I talk about there was, let's say, there was a different auditor in previous year, there was a different auditor, then this particular standard, okay, this particular standard requires us to report and to disclose some additional information on that. If the financial statement of the prior period were audited by a predecessor auditor and the auditor is permitted by law to refer to the predecessor auditor's report, okay, I'm permitted by law to refer to that report, okay, then I am required to state in other meta paragraph that the financial statement of prior period were audited by predecessor auditor and the type of opinion expressed by the predecessor auditor, okay, uh, and the date of audit report. So I will provide the detail of that opinion of that audit report in my audit report. I hope I'm clear. So I will I will mention in my other matter paragraph, okay, that this was the opinion and this is everything. I'll show you one example for this. Let me show you one example and explain with one example. Just give me a minute. It's a bit old audit report, but it's there, good one. It's 2018 report, but still stands the same because the essay is same. There is no change in standard. Let me go to the opinion. Please do not refer to any of the name. I'm not talking about the name or promoting the name. Yeah. Okay. So if you see this particular paragraph over here in other matter paragraph, the financial statement of the company for the year ended March 31st, 2017 included in the standalone financial statement have been audited by the predecessor auditor who expressed an unmodified opinion on those statements on this particular date. Our report is not modified in respect of the above matter. What my essay says that I need to refer to the predecessor auditor report on the corresponding figures and decide and if I decide to do so, then in my opinion or in my auditor's report, in other matter paragraph, I need to provide this financial statement, the detail that the financial statement were audited by some other auditor, type of the opinion, and the date of the report. So these three things, that is, have been audited by predecessor auditor, number one, who issued an unmodified opinion, number two, on this particular date, number three. All these threes will be included in other matter paragraph as per SA 710 plus SA 706. Any doubt? Any doubt? So this is how I am required to report when the audit report was audited by some other auditor. Okay. Going back to my notes. So if prior period FS were audited by predecessor auditor, mention three things. One, the statement that they were audited by predecessor auditor. Number two, type of opinion issued. Number three, date of report. And that too in other matter paragraph as per SA 706. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. Uh, if no doubt, then I have a question. Okay. Now, let's say, for example, management of ABC Limited, okay, prepared financial statement for FY 22-23. However, the corresponding figures for FY 21-22 were unaudited figures, as no audit was carried out. Okay, as no audit was carried out. Now, Mr. A, the engagement partner, while preparing the current year auditor's report, decided to issue qualified opinion as the corresponding figures are unaudited. Kindly comment. Okay. So the question is that there is a corresponding number, but that is not audited. Till now, we saw it was audited, either modified opinion, either unmodified opinion, audited by some other auditor. But for the first time, we are seeing if they are not audited at all. If these are not audited at all, and so in this question, Mr. A, the engagement partner, decided to issue qualified opinion because he said, okay, these numbers are not audited. These are the corresponding figures. Why will I audit these numbers? So I'll issue a qualified opinion. Kindly comment on this, whether this is correct or not. If not, then what should be the correct way? If this is the correct, then why this is the correct way? Come on, guys. Correct, Purvi Ben? Absolutely correct. Come on, guys. Very important. The auditor is going to issue qualified opinion. What he should do? Should he issue qualified opinion? Or not? Should he issue qualified opinion or not? Come on, guys. What should be the appropriate way here? I'm waiting for your answer. What should be the correct way? Good. Good, Namrata. Good, Janvi. Okay. So, what auditor should do in the current case? I'll tell you. So, in the current case, basically, instead of issuing modified opinion, that's a qualified opinion, what auditor should do is number one, auditor should try to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence with respect to opening balances and should perform audit procedures as per SA 501. Okay. Now, from here, there can be two options. I have received I have obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, or I have not obtained the sufficient audit evidence. Not obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidence and obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. If I have not obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, okay, if I have not obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, then I need to modify my opinion I need to modify my opinion. And the modification again will depend upon the materiality and pervasiveness of the effects or possible effects of the not getting sufficient and appropriate audit evidence about opening balances. But I will modify my opinion as per SA 705. Okay, clear till now, pretty much online. If I obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, then what? Then what? If I say I have obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, then what? What should I do? Unmodified opinion? That's it? Unmodified opinion? That's it? Anything else? Should I include anything else here? Or this is fine? When I have obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidence about opening balance sheet, I'll issue an unmodified opinion. Should I do anything else over here? Or that's it? Should I include anything else? Come on, guys. Very important to understand. Should I include anything else over here or not? Okay, good journey. But what in that? Okay, good Namrata. But what I will mention, the details of that. What with respect to that? What should I mention in that? That's very important to understand. Come on, guys. Correct, Jamni. Absolutely correct. Okay, good. So, okay, I'll give you an option. Okay, I'll give you option and you tell me then. Because that is not only important for this essay, but also important as per other essays. I'll include EOM para. I'll include OM para. Okay. I'll include key audit matters, or I'll include no other information, but I'll not include anything. So what you will select? If you are saying that I will include let's see the answers. If you are saying I'll include the EOM para, okay. If you are saying I'll include the EOM para, in that case, that will not be appropriate. That will not be appropriate because it's not relevant to the user understanding of financial statement. Rather, it is something and for the user understanding of the audit procedures. That prior period financial statements were not audited and has been, accordingly they have been they were not audited, and that has been either audited by us in the current year as an opening balance, part of our opening balance. So I need to include that one line in my other matter paragraph because this is related to the my what do you say, audit procedures, auditor's responsibility, and audit report. Okay. So no other disclosure. Again, I will be including an OM paragraph. Now, what about key audit matters? Will I include a key audit matter? Will I include a key audit matter? Come on, guys. Do I need to include a key audit matter? I have already included other matter paragraphs. Should I include a key audit matter or not? So I included other matter paragraph that my numbers are not audited. Should I include a key audit matter paragraph? I can include key audit matter paragraph if there were significant difficulties during audit or significant risk with respect to opening balance. And when I say significant difficulties during audit, means I encountered significant difficulties during audit to gather sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. If that is the case, then yes, I will mention these areas into key audit matter also. So it defends that during the audit, I faced significant difficulties, okay, to gather sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, then yes, it can become part of my key audit matter. Again, that is a professional judgment upon the auditor, okay, to decide whether which should be the key audit matter. But yes, I can include. There is no restriction from that point of view. Clear? So modified opinion plus OM paragraph plus CAM, if the conditions are satisfied, that will be included in my audit report. That the numbers, opening balances are unaudited. They were not audited by any predecessor auditor or anyone. Clear? With respect to this, I actually don't have an audit report to disclose on this particular paragraph because it's very difficult to obtain where I could show you this particular paragraph in the audit report itself. Okay. Okay. So hence I'm not able to show you this particular paragraph live in the audit report, but I want to show you something more on that regard. Okay. As I showed you the predecessor auditor, there is one more thing I wanted to show you. Just let me open it. Okay. So this is one of the audit report where I could, get disclaimer of opinion. So I thought to disclose, just, show you disclaimer of opinion also along with that. Uh, so this is a disclaimer of opinion that was issued on the standalone financial statement, wherein a few words which are there, which were changed in the opinion itself. Like, we do not express an opinion on the accompanying standalone, financial statement because of the significance of the matter described in basis of disclaimer of opinion. Okay. And we have not been able to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence to provide basis for an audit opinion on the accompanying this financial statement. And in disclaimer of opinion, basis of disclaimer of opinion, you have all such details. Okay. So what is the disclaimer of opinion? What was the issue? What was not obtained and everything? If you see in this audit report, there are no key audit matters. There is no key audit matters specified. Plus, there is something I want to just show you, that reporting on comparatives in case of first Ind AS financial statements. Okay. So they are just bringing out the reporting when there was a change from AS to Ind AS, how company were reporting. So the transition date of the opening balance sheet as at 1st April 2017 included in the standalone financial statement are based on the statutory financial statement prepared in accordance with the company's accounting standard rules 2006, audited by predecessor auditor of the company whose report for the year ended this, dated this, expressed an unmodified opinion on these standalone financial statement and have been restated to comply with the Ind AS. We have engaged to the audit the adjustment made to the previously issued financial information prepared in accordance with this accounting standard rules to comply with Ind AS. In the views of matter reported in the basis for disclaimer of opinion section, we are unable to comment whether any further Ind AS adjustment are required to the balance in respect of transition date as on 1st April 2017 and the comparatives for the 31 March 2018. So this is a very specific case where the comparative figures, comparative information plus a disclaimer of opinion is playing an important role. And that's why you would see a mix of opinion, like where I have reported upon the comparative information. This is comparative information. As per SA 710, plus I have an impact on what you say, my opinion because of disclaimer of opinion. Okay. Plus there was another auditor at that particular point in time. Plus there's a change in applicable financial reporting framework. So there are a lot many things together in a single event, and that's why you see this paragraph over here. But again, this is a part of disclaimer of opinion also, because they are not able to get any other information. Plus they are pointing out there was some other auditor in the predecessor audit report. Plus they are also pointing out that that there is a change in applicable financial reporting framework. Clear? So this is the wonderful example which clarifies 710.75 plus change in FRF as per 706. Okay, so there is query. So one question asked that if something is included in CAM, then it cannot be included in other matter paragraph that we discussed in last lecture. See, I am not including the matter that is that the audit that the opening balances are unaudited. I'm not including that in CAM. What I'm including in CAM is that I encountered significant difficulties while gathering the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, okay, while auditing the opening balances. So I'm talking about the difficulties that I have faced while gathering the audit evidence. I'm not stating in the camp that these balances are unaudited. That is in the other matter paragraph. Both are separate. So one at the one hand, I'm talking about gathering the audit evidence. On the other hand, I still say that even though I obtained the audit evidence, these numbers are not audited because I have gathered the evidence about the opening balances, not the transaction for the financial year 2021. So there might be profit and loss account figures. There might be other transactions that are for that period which are not part of opening balances. I'm not required to gather information about that. So I may have gathered the information about the opening balance to some extent by applying SA 501, but that is not equivalent to audit. And as a result, I'll still say these are unaudited numbers. That is in other matter paragraph. Okay. There is a question in an audit report. Can there be a situation where we are issued two type of opinions, qualified and one where is a modified and another place unmodified? Answer is no. Answer is no. If you are modifying an opinion at any place, your overall opinion will be modified opinion. It's not like that I can modify at a one particular place and I shouldn't be modifying at another. No, it should be either a whole opinion or not. I hope I'm clear. Janvi, Purvi when. Okay. Any doubt? Any further doubt? Okay. If no doubts, what I suggest is let's take a quick 10-minute break. After the break, we'll gather back and we'll continue the session where I need to discuss the rest of the SA 710 and SA 720. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So, what we were discussing till now was with respect to uh, the opinion. Okay. We were discussing about the impact on opinion, how my corresponding figures can impact my opinion. So, uh, now we'll talk about this was the corresponding figures that we were talking about. Okay, a corresponding figures wherein we were discussing the details about basically the how it can impact my opinion, how corresponding figures can actually impact the form and content of audit report. Okay, now there is one more thing along with that. Okay, along with that there is one more thing I want to highlight over here. So just give me a minute. Yeah. So the next part I want to discuss over here after the corresponding figures is the comparative financial statement. Okay. I want to discuss the details on the comparative financial statement. So we saw the corresponding figures that are there in audit report or in financial statement. Now let's understand what is the comparative financial statement. So as I told you with the detail that comparative financial statement, okay, basically is about something is the about the amount and other disclosures for the period that are included for the comparison with the financial statement of the current period. Okay, therefore the comparison and they are referred in the auditor's opinion. So they are separately referred. When I say referred, they are separately referred in my auditor's opinion. So for comparative financial statement, the auditor's opinion refer to each period for which financial statement are prepared. For comparative financial statements, my opinion refer to each period, not only to the period for the current year, but for the period which are included in my opinion. So there is a very big difference. Okay, I'll tell you. Now, what happens is when I issue a comparative financial information, I issue an opinion on the previous year numbers. Again, I issue an opinion on previous year numbers. Now, there can be few scenarios in that case. Let us see that. Just a minute. For the comparative financial statement, as I told you, when comparative financial statement are presented along with the current year financial statement, the auditor's opinion refers to each period, okay, for which the financial statements are presented, for which the financial statement are presented, okay, and on which an audit opinion is expressed. Okay. So what will be the scenario is I will be issuing an audit opinion plus on the numbers which are presented. Now, with an example, I would like to ask you a question whether this is a comparative financial statement or corresponding figures. Okay. Now let us go to this particular audit report that we saw. Now this is the audit report. Now you tell me whether this audit report, in this audit report, wherever the numbers are there, or in financial statement, wherever the previous year numbers are there. So you might be seeing these previous year numbers as at 31st March 2022, whole, everywhere, everything. So wherever these numbers are there, what are these numbers? Are these numbers the comparative financial statement, or are these numbers as a comparative corresponding figures? Can I say this is a comparative financial statement because that's whole financial one whole financial statement for FY22 is given, or it's just a corresponding figures? Whether this is a comparative financial statement or a corresponding figure. Come on, guys. Am I saying this is comparative financial statement or corresponding figures? Very important. Then only you will be able to understand what is the difference here. Is this a comparative financial information? Oh, sorry, comparative financial statement or corresponding numbers? Good, Purvi. Good, Namrata. Come on, guys. So I received two answers, one from Purvi, one from Namrata. Come on, guys. Whether this is a comparative financial statement or corresponding figures. Okay. So if you are saying this is the comparative financial statement, then it's not. These are corresponding figures. I'll tell you why. When I told you that when I issue a comparative financial statement, I include in my opinion that this is a comparative financial statement. Okay. When I issue a comparative financial statement, I issue opinion on each year. I issue opinion on each year. Again, I'll tell you. When I'm issuing a comparative financial statement, I issue opinion on each year. If I issue an opinion on each year, in that case, what happens is that I'm reporting on the numbers of that year. But here I'm not able to see any opinion on the FY22 numbers. I'm only issuing an opinion on FY23 numbers. I'm only issuing opinion on FY23 numbers. Then how can I say this is a comparative financial statement, not a corresponding number? It's the corresponding figures. These are the corresponding figures. Reason because I'm not issuing an opinion. Am I issuing an opinion on FY22 again? Am I issuing an opinion on FY22 again? Very important to understand. Am I issuing opinion again? If yes, then I could say, okay, this is the corresponding, sorry, this is the comparative financial information. If I'm not issuing opinion again, then how can I say this is my uh, comparative financial statement? This will become corresponding figure. Are you getting my point? So I am saying this is not a comparative financial statement. This is a corresponding figure because I'm not uh, issuing any opinion over here. So for each comparative financial statement, I need to issue an opinion. Now the question comes is, okay, fine, I'll issue an opinion. Now there could be two scenarios. When I issue an opinion on comparative financial statement, okay, there could be a scenario that there was already like there will be a opinion issued in previous year also. Now let's say for example there was an opinion issued in previous year. Okay, if that opinion is same, I don't think so. Then there will be an issue. But what if there is a difference in opinion? Okay, what if there is a difference in opinion with respect to the previous year opinion? If my opinion differs than the opinion which was issued previously on the comparative financial statement, then I need to specify the reason. I need to specify the reason for the different opinion in other matter paragraph. Okay, as per SA 706, I need to specify that. Why my opinion is different this time compared to the opinion that I issued previously. Now, again, same in this case also. Let's say, for example, if the prior period financial statement were audited by predecessor auditor, same, I need to specify that they were audited by predecessor auditor, and accordingly, type of opinion and the date of report on that. So, if previous opinions issued by predecessor auditor, okay, then I will state that in other matter paragraph, will state the fact in other matter para with this matter, then second, then opinion issued previously, third, the date of report. Now this matter means that there was already opinion issued by predecessor auditor on the financial statement of this particular year, like that the fact that we are required to state that the financial statement of the prior period were audited by a predecessor auditor. Now that will be the case when I'm not revising the opinion. I don't have a different opinion. If the same opinion is there, then it is fine. If there's a different opinion, then a difference in opinion will follow over here. Specify the reason why there was a difference in opinion. Okay. Any doubt? And then again, if those statements were not audited, okay, if those statement, comparative financial statement were not audited, okay, then I need to write that that the fact in my other matter paragraph that the comparative financial statement were unaudited, okay, but again, I am already issuing an opinion in the current also, so that does not relieve me from obtaining appropriate and audit evidence and from issuing an opinion. So only I am required to state the matter in my other matter paragraph. If comparative financial statement were not audited, then state the fact in other matter para as per SA 706. That does not mean that my responsibility is reduced. This does not relieve the auditor from obtaining sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Okay. This does not relieve the auditor from obtaining sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Same when in this case where we were saying that like are unaudited. If in our earlier example where we discussed that these are unaudited, we are required to include other matter paragraph. But again in here also, this does not relieve the auditor from obtaining sufficient and appropriate audit evidence as per SA 501. So still I'm responsible to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence regarding the opening balance as per SA 501. And same here, I'm supposed to obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence with respect to the comparative financial statement where I'm issuing an opinion. Clear? Okay. Now, if there was a difference of opinion, as specifically as of now, kept it till here because I want to explain further on difference of opinion. What I'll do is I'll shift this on the left hand side. Okay. If there's a difference of opinion, as I told you, I need to issue detailed fact in 706 other matter paragraph. What if earlier opinion was issued was unmodified and I have identified some modification and some material misstatement? So if auditor has concluded that material misstatement exist in comparative financial statement. Okay, exist in comparative financial statement and previously unmodified opinion was issued. So I have identified that, okay, there is a material misstatement in my comparative financial statements, but there was a unmodified opinion issued by previous auditor or by predecessor auditor, or there is any by any auditor that was issued of, like, there was a unmodified opinion. In that case, what I'm required to do? First, communicate with those charged with governance to rectify the material misstatement and to issue amended FS, then inform predecessor auditor to amend the report. Okay, you need to ask them to either amend the audit report and ask the management and those charged with governance to issue amended financial statement. Okay, so I'll communicate the misstatement with the appropriate level of management and those charged with governance, and I'll request them that please inform the predecessor auditor about this. Okay, and if the financial statement are amended, and the predecessor auditor agrees to issue a new audit report on the amended financial statement, then I will report only current period numbers. If that is the case here, then the auditor will report on current year figures, not on my previous year or comparative financial statement, because I have a new opinion as of now, which is same as mine, or which is, on the same lines. So that's why I'll only issue an opinion on current figures, not on comparative financial statement. Reason, because you have an amended opinion of the current date. There is no point issuing another opinion on the same date for the same numbers. Okay, so there is no point and no sense in issuing the same opinion on the same date for the same numbers. That's why you'll only report on the current year figures, not on the comparative financial statement. Clear? And this particular fact, that there was an audit opinion that was issued, that was amended, and new audit opinion has been issued, okay, that will be reported in other matter paragraph. So SA 706 will be there. I will be still reporting in SA 706. Examples of difference in opinion, very difficult. Reason, because identifying comparative financial information, opinion on comparative financial information is not pretty much, easily available. Unless and until there's a specific requirement in a special purpose framework, basically there are no, comparative financial informations given. Opinion on comparative financial statement. So this is a specific and very specific scenario that might be there, but as I said, like, very specific, hard to find. I'll try to search, and if I get anything, I'll definitely present in front of you in the next lecture also. But I'll say very difficult to identify. Any doubt, guys? Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubt, then what we can do is let's move to the next standard, SA 720. Okay, because SA 720 is also important, and basically what is that SA 720 will help us to understand the details which are there in audit report. So there is, one more paragraph that I have kept it open, yet to be discussed, which relates to the SA 720. Okay. Now, if I talk about SA 720, SA 720 discusses, or prescribes the detail with respect to the other information. It's different than other matter paragraph. Again, other information is different than the other matter paragraph. Okay. And this other matter paragraph is like we have seen as per SA 706. Other information paragraph is as per SA 720. I'll show you one example first. Okay. If you see this particular other information paragraph, this talks about the company's management and board of directors are responsible for other information. The other information comprises the information included in the annual report, but which does not include in the financial statement and auditor's opinion, auditor's report thereon. The annual report is expected to be made available to the users after the date of auditor's report. Our opinion on the standalone financial statement does not recover the other information and will not express any form of assurance and conclusion thereon. In connection with our audit of standalone financial statement, our responsibility to read the other information identified above when it becomes available, and in doing so, consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the standalone financial statement, or our knowledge obtained in the audit, or otherwise appears to be materially misstated. When we read the annual report, if we conclude that there is a material misstatement therein, we are required to communicate the matter to those charged with governance and describe the actions applicable under the applicable laws and regulations. Okay. Now, this is a paragraph which is given about the other information, which is as per SA 720. Now, the question comes is there are two things, very critical things, which are mentioned in this. One, what is other information that is prescribed here? Number two, that this other information which is prescribed here, okay, what this other information like talks about, like about which particular thing. Okay. So just sorry, give me a minute. I'm facing some technical issue. Okay. Yes. So as I was saying, as I was explaining, that what is other information and what is misstatement of other information. There are two things I'll highlight over here. One, other information included in the annual report, okay, does not include in the financial information. This particular line over here, that the other information comprises the information included in the annual report but does not include the financial statement and auditor's report thereon. Okay, so this specified what is other information. Now, second thing is it talks about misstatement in other information. Okay. So, in connection with our audit of standalone financial statement, our responsibility to read other information identified above, and when it becomes available, in doing so, consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the standalone financial statement or our knowledge obtained in the audit otherwise appears to be materially misstated. So, it talks about misstatement in other information. Okay. So there are two things. One, other information definition and misstatement in other information. So these are the two major things. First, we need to understand with respect to SA 70, that is auditor's responsibility relating to other information. Okay. Now, as the definition itself provided, that other information is the information contained in the annual report other than my financial statement and an auditor's report thereon. So, other information is information contained in annual report other than financial statement and audit report. That is my other information. Now, what is the auditor's responsibility with respect to other information? That is, first we need to understand what is a misstatement. Okay. Now, this particular essay requires auditor to read and consider the other information. Okay. So responsibility here is to read and consider other information. Okay. Other information and compare. I'll compare this with financial statement I'll compare this with financial statement or with my knowledge, with auditor's knowledge that he has obtained. Sorry. Okay, that he has obtained during audit. Okay. Now, why I will do that? Why I need to read and consider the other information and compare with the financial statement and okay, and auditor's knowledge obtained during the audit. Now, why I'm required to do that? Because I want to identify material inconsistency between the other information and the financial statement. I want to identify, is there any material inconsistency? Okay, between the other information and my financial statement, and I need to compare. I will say how I'll compare. Like, I need to compare selected amounts of other items or other informations that are intended to be same between both. If, let's say, for example, in annual report, for a hypothetical example, I'll show you here. Let's say in this financial statement, I had revenue, this one, 591,59114, 640, total income 59748. So if the revenue is here, revenue is presented here. Now there might be a scenario where revenue is presented somewhere else. Okay, this is other information, our financial highlight. If this financial highlight presents some revenue, let's say turnover 58,154, EBITDA, PAT, EPS, these numbers. Let's say, for example, EBITDA 13,632 or turnover 58,154. Then I need to see whether this financial information, other financial information, is inconsistent with FS. How will I do that? I need to compare this with my FS. Okay. I need to compare this with my FS. Let's say, for example, earnings before interest and tax, which is 12602 of 22-23. And if I go to auditor's report, means financial statement, so I need to compare that with my EBIT present over here. Here you don't have a direct EBIT. Okay, so you need to recalculate it. Here the revenue from operation is 59,144. Okay, then you need to see, okay, revenue from operations, which was there above. Here 58,154. Is this all revenue, or this is some segmental, which is, some segment is still missing? So this is only for, one particular segment. This could be one for one particular segment. I need to add other income also to get the number. Okay, see, it's written over here, included in other operating income 1630. So accordingly, I need to compare the numbers. I need to total it down. I need to see whether there is an inconsistency between these numbers. Let's say, for example, this revenue 21,230. It's for only home care, not for all the segments. So I can compare with the segment. Okay, this is for the beauty and personal care. So again, I need to compare the revenue which is disclosed with the other information. So when I'll do that, I'll try to identify whether there is any material inconsistency between the items or not. Okay, or there is a material inconsistency between the auditor's knowledge that I have obtained. Now, where I will identify the auditor's knowledge here, I'll tell you. This revenue growth. During the year, when I was doing audit, I identified, no, there is a decrease in the sale. But if I see growth in revenue, I have obtained different knowledge. There's a different hypothetical example. I am not saying that that's the real case, but I'm just giving an example. This is other information. It says that there is an increase in revenue. There's an increase in demand. Okay. So there is a competent, if you see, there was a growth of 12%. But when I was doing audit, I identified some factors which made me to believe that there was a decrease in revenue for this particular sector. Let's say, for example, with hypothetical example, in that case, I need to understand, okay, what understanding I obtain and what is the information which is presented over here. Let's say, for example, another example, not revenue, but another example. I'll tell you one more example over here. There is just a minute. Yeah. Now, if you see over here, supply chain, they are saying no change compared to the last year. There is no change in the supply chain. What if doing the audit, I identified there was a change, there was a supply changes made during the year or business transformation like acquisitions, disposal. So they are saying there is no change. But what if I identify there was a huge acquisition or disposal of a unit? So my information, my knowledge which I have gathered, I need to compare with the other information to identify whether there is a material inconsistency or not. Okay. Now, when I talk about material inconsistency, okay, I need to identify, I need to understand what is misstatement or material inconsistency mean. Okay. In order to evaluate whether there is a material inconsistency or not, I need to understand what is material inconsistency mean. Okay. Then only I could say, okay, there is a material inconsistency. Otherwise, I would not be able to say it. Okay. Now, when I say material inconsistency, okay, or misstatement in other information. So at that particular point in time, I need to understand first whether this material inconsistency or information misstatement, okay, in information is because of any item being omitted or presented in such a way that is not disclosing the fact that was supposed to be there. That was supposed to be there. Okay. So in that case, I need to consider whether there was a information or fact which was supposed to be presented, but has been presented otherwise, or has been omitted, or has been presented in a way that is not giving a proper understanding of the matter. Then there is an inconsistency. Now comes whether this inconsistency is a material, that is important. And how will I understand whether that's material? For that, see, some will say, okay, I'll apply a standard on the materiality for understanding the material inconsistency. Okay, I'll apply SA 320 materiality in planning and performing the audit to understand whether this is material, the inconsistency is material or not. Answer is no, because the concept of materiality is applicable on the audit. Okay, the concept of materiality is applicable on audit. However, there might be no applicable framework for certain information where you can directly apply materiality. Yes, if there are numbers, you can still say, I can apply concept of materiality. What if those are not the numbers? What if those are the words, only a sentence? How will you judge whether it's material or not? So it's not easy to apply the concept of materiality on other information. And there might be scenarios where you don't have a defined framework to judge whether this is material or not. There is a lot of information given in annual report. So in that case, there are few things that you need to understand to identify whether this is material or not. Okay. So to do that, what do you need to do? First, you need to understand materiality from the common information that is required as a group. Okay. So what is the other information that is there in the annual report? Okay. Is it the information related directly to the financial statement, which the users are expected to read? If yes, then the materiality concept that will apply to financial statement will apply to my materiality concept of that other information. For example, here, if I talk about my revenue, turnover, EBITDA, if these are material to FS, if these numbers are material to financial statement, then these will be material to other information also. I'm not again, will go and check the materiality, but if I'll say turnover is material to financial statement, or let's say plant property and equipment, if this plant property and equipment is material to financial statement, yes, by default, this will be material to my other information. So materiality to FS for items, that are related to financial statement. Okay, fine. For items where there is no direct relation to financial statement, but you are going to see with the auditor's knowledge. So as I told you, let's say for example, supply chain. Okay, supply chain or something else which is there, which is not directly related to financial statement, but which is of indirect nature, and you are identifying that okay, this information is there. Okay, so in that case, let's say for example, I'll give you one example. Okay, business transformation, acquisition. Now, if I cannot directly relate this information to financial statement or any other change with related to IT or anything which is not directly can be tied to my financial statement, can be of any nature, mergers acquisition over here, or sale of a brand or anything. Now I cannot directly tie to my FS. So how will I consider whether this is material or not? In that case, I need to understand whether user would be influenced by the effect of uncorrected misstatement. So how user will get influenced with uncorrected misstatement. So if this misstatement is going to influence the economic decision of the user, then yes, I'll say material. So how it will impact user decision. Okay. On the basis of that, I can say whether this is material or not. Now, then in that case, if there is a material inconsistency, I need to again, there are steps I need to follow, but this is how I'll identify whether there's a material inconsistency or not. Okay. Any doubt till now? Okay, there was a doubt with respect to previous essay that in case of corresponding figures, why we are not communicating with those charged with governance and predecessor auditor. See, in case of corresponding figures, okay, if there is a already opinion issued, when I will include the matter, let's say I'll modify my opinion. Before modification, I'm any which way is going to communicate that to those charged with governance as per essay 260 and 265. Remember, if you identify any matter which is going to affect your form and content of audit report, then you are required to discuss with those charged with governance. So any which ways I'll discuss with those charged with governance, and I'll ask those charged with governance to already inform the auditor. So any which ways it is going to be discussed. It's not like that we are not going to discuss, but that will be discussed. Now that depends upon whether they will amend the financial statement and whether the previous auditor will issue a new report. And there are a lot of factors involved in that, depending upon the how much what do you say, what is the matter, what is the opinion, whether it's a direct misstatement, it's a misstatement in the estimate, or lot many factors are there. Let's say for example, if it is related to the estimate, if it is related to some professional judgment area, going concern. So in that case, it is all litigation. It is not directly, available that, okay, auditor will amend the audit report. So that's why in case of, and again, in case of corresponding figures, I'm not issuing an opinion unless and until there is a misstatement. So that's why we do not specifically refer to the previous year auditor, or because it's by default throughout the process, it is being covered. Clear, Namrata? Any further doubt on this? Any doubt? Okay, let's come to here, this particular essay. Now, if you see auditor's report, just a minute. Let me go to the independence auditor report. Yeah. Okay. When we read the other information paragraph, we identified that there are two things mentioned. Okay. One, the annual report is expected to be made available to us after the date of auditor's report. If you read this particular paragraph or line, this talks about that this statement will be, or other information will be given to us after the issue of audit report. Okay. And when we read the annual report, if we conclude that there are material misstatements therein, we are required to communicate matter to those charged with governance and describe actions applicable under the applicable laws and regulations. So two things. One, when we are getting the other information. Number two, what if we identify the inconsistency? So to read the other information, okay, we need to first ask management, okay, please provide the other information on timely basis, either before issuing the audit report or after issuing the audit report, but on a timely basis, so that we can read and we can, say that, okay, this is the other information and accordingly we have read it or not. So just a minute. Making available the other information. Now, we need to determine and discuss with the management that please provide us the other information, if possible, a draft version before I issue an audit report. Okay. So if possible, then prior to issuance of audit report, even in draft version or the final version, you can say final draft basically, before issuing the version that is there. Or if not possible, then we will obtain written representation from management that final version, okay, of the document will be provided. Final version of the document will be provided to us or will be shared to auditor when available, but prior its issuance by the entity. But prior its issuance by entity to public. to general public so that I can complete my procedure. Okay. It may happen that, okay, management might ask you, okay, issue audit report now, because we need to include that in auditors, we need to include that in annual report. And that is sometimes, necessary also. Okay. So we issued the audit report. Now management is preparing annual report with other documents. And while preparing the annual report, they compiled the audit report and they included all the other informations. And what we are saying, if you are not able to issue before we issue audit report, then give us a final document before you issue to the larger public so that we can read and we can understand whether there is a material inconsistency or not. Okay. Now, what if we identify material inconsistency between the other information and the financial statement or auditor's knowledge? Okay. In that case, we need to understand where the material inconsistency lies. So there could be three scenarios. If material inconsistency, or I could say material inconsistency is present, means there is a difference in the number of the other information and the difference in the number of my audit report or my knowledge. There's a difference in my knowledge. There could be three scenarios. Either a misstatement in other information, in other information could be present, exist. Either a material misstatement, sorry, I should write material misstatement. Either a material misstatement is in financial statement. So when I compare the other information or the financial statement, I identified no, material misstatement is in financial statement, not in other information. Or I could say there was a auditor's understanding needs to be updated. Now, why this area? Because I'm not only comparing other information with financial statement, but I'm comparing other information with my auditor's knowledge about the entity also. So if I identify, no, my knowledge was incorrect, but the information that is presented in the financial statement, which is not related to FS, could be of, other nature that I told you that, acquisition, growth, or all that stuff is correct, but my information is, or my knowledge is incorrect, then my understanding needs to be updated. So there could be three scenarios: material information, material misstatement in other information, material misstatement in financial statement, or my understanding requires updation. If that is the case, in each of the case, we need to understand what actions and procedures are required to be done. Okay. Now, if I identify there's a material misstatement in other information, in that case, what I need to do is I need to request management to correct. Request management to correct. Okay. If the correction is made, then fine, I don't have an issue. Okay. If the management agrees to make the correction, I need to just check whether the corrections are made or not appropriately. If management refuses to make the correction, then in that case, communicate with those charged with governance, that there is an issue with other information. Okay. And there are two conditions, like two things, not conditions, uh, two situations. I could have got the information before, I could have got the other information after. Okay. Now, if I got the information, other information before, okay, other information was shared before audit report, and if management refuses to make the correction, means there is a material misstatement in other information. So the material misstatement is present. Okay. And I identified before issuing the audit report that there's a material misstatement, other information. Then in that case, and that is not corrected after communicating to those charged with governance, then I need to consider the implication on my auditor's report. Okay. Consider the implication on audit report. How much it is misstated, what is the quantum of misstatement, whether it's a even it's a very not only restricted to one item, but it is to the multiple items, although material, but what nature of materiality? It's I could say it's a material pervasive, only material. So what is the scenario? Okay. And what will how it will impact on my auditor's report? Okay. In that case, I may also include this particular thing, that there is an uncorrected misstatement, and I'll include in my paragraph. Okay, paragraph as per SA 270, SA 720. So report material misstatement in other information in para as per SA 720, that there is a uncorrected material misstatement of other information, and I need to describe that in my audit report. Okay. If that is not the case, I'm not there is a very big amount which I cannot report, there is a lot of information which is materially misstated, I have another option: withdraw from engagement if permitted. If permitted by law, then you can withdraw from engagement also. But in case of listed entities, there is a requirement, there is a requirement that when you can withdraw and when there is a prohibition on withdrawal from engagement. So for listed entities, there is a specific requirement. So at times, it will not be possible to withdraw from the engagement. Now, what if I obtain after the date of audit report? So OI was shared after audit report. In that case, what I will do is I'll seek legal guidance what should be done, because I have communicated to management, they are not rectifying. Okay, material misstatement and other information is still present. I communicated to management and they are not rectifying it. Then I need to think, okay, what should I do now? Okay, in that case, I need to seek a legal guidance. Okay, what are the legal options available to me, and how should I consider this matter? Okay. Now, if I conclude that there's a material misstatement in financial statement or auditor's understanding needs to be updated, then in both of the cases, I need to refer essay 450 plus other essays. Why 450? Because 450 guides us that when you evaluate the misstatements, okay. If you read the essay 450, it talks about when you evaluate the misstatement, okay, and you identify that okay, uh, the auditor determines that the uncorrected misstatement are material. Okay, if I determine the uncorrected misstatement are material, individual or in aggregate, then what could be the effect of uncorrected misstatement? What I need to do? Then I might need to obtain more audit evidence. Okay, I might need to perform more audit procedures. I need to change my opinion. A lot of things which are already there in SA 450. Okay, and accordingly, I need to take further steps. So if I identify there is a misstatement in the financial statement or my understanding, and I have not obtained appropriate and sufficient audit evidence to conclude, okay, then in that case, I need to refer to the other assets which are already there. Clear? Now, any doubt with respect to the other information till now? So there is a question, how I will decide whether it impacts the user decision or not. Here, how will I decide it will impact the user decision? See, there is no clear-cut guidance available whether it will impact the user decision or not. It's a professional judgment. Okay. So there could be some scenarios where professional judgment is required, and accordingly, auditor needs to take decision whether it will impact the user decision or not. So not all misstatement will impact the user decision. Any other doubt? Okay. Okay. If no doubt, then few things I just specify. Number one, I specifically wrote here that to read and to consider other information. I'm not talking about auditing the other information. This is not auditing. I'm talking about to read the other information. Again, you need to read, not to audit. Okay. So it's not like that we need to perform detailed audit procedures to understand other information. We need to read and consider the other information that is present in the financial statement, in the annual report. Okay. Again, we need to read it, not audit. There's a difference between both. Then it says that auditors shall read wherever you will see the requirement of this particular standard. It says you need to read other information, not the audit. So the level of procedures that we need to perform are restricted with respect to other information. Okay. Number two, where this essay is applicable. Okay, as we discussed, this standard is applicable to other information which is part of annual report, maybe part of annual report, but does not include my financial statement and audit report. But there are specific exclusions where this standard will not be applicable. Okay, so when I talk about other information, Exclusion to other information will be preliminary announcement of financial information. So some of the times, before issuing the audit report, or before, annual report is issued, companies issued quarterly or, annually announcement of the financial information. They do their earnings call, their revenue call, or their financial information call. Or, they just issue a press release of this was the outcome of the financial year, preliminary announcement. So that is excluded from other information. Then securities offering document. Like prospectus, that are also excluded from other information. Okay, so when other information is there, we are required to read other information, and accordingly we are required to compare it. Just one more thing with respect to other information. Okay, when we read the other information, we compare if whatever the outcome is, whether materially misstated or whether materially not misstated. Okay, we are required to report as per the other information paragraph, wherein we are required to present some details. Okay, we just now saw here there are few details that we are required to present in other information paragraph, that management and board of directors are responsible for other information. Means auditor is not responsible for other information. Whose responsibility is it for other information? It's not the auditor's responsibility. Okay, then identification of other information, which is there, the yellow one. Okay, so I need to identify what is other information. Okay, and third, that when I'm expected to receive this other information. Okay, fourth, I'm not supposed to issue an opinion on this other information. Like there will be no opinion. And these are the requirement of standard. Okay, that other information for a statement that the auditor's opinion does not cover the other information. And here, if you see, in our opinion on the standalone financial statement does not cover the other information. Then auditor's responsibility with respect to other information. The yellow one, that in our responsibility to read and other information and identified above when it becomes available, and consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the standalone financial statement or the knowledge obtained during the audit. Okay, then a description that we will be reading the other information, which is part of that yellow only. Okay, then the next requirement is what if you identify the other information is materially misstated, or there's a material inconsistency in the other information? So auditor's role when material misstatement is identified in other information, the blue one. Okay, so they will communicate with those charged with governance and describe the actions applicable under the applicable laws and regulations. Means their responsibility is to communicate, and if after communicating we will see this area, once we communicate and if still not rectified, so what in under which category it falls, then accordingly they will take the action over here. So that is written, that they will describe the action as per the applicable under the applicable laws and regulations. Okay, So this is how the other information is presented. And other information paragraph is there in the audit report. Any doubt? Any doubt, guys? Okay. If no doubts, uh, then I have one, example of comparative financial statement. Okay. We saw till now comparative corresponding figures. I have an example of comparative financial statement. So this is in audit report issued, independence auditor report. Okay. If you see, this is independence auditor report. Okay. For restated financial statement. Now, if you see over here, they will say that, okay, here it is written that the auditor has examined the attached restated financial statement comprising of restatement of assets and liabilities as on this date, this date, this date, and this date. There are multiple periods covered. Multiple periods covered. Even for the restated cash flow, restated profit and loss account. Okay, there are multiple periods covered. This not only one period, but there are multiple period cover, and for the comparison purpose that has been given. Okay, this is a special purpose interim audit financial statement which were issued for the prospectus. So this is part of RHP that has been issued. Okay, if you see, I'll just show you one example. If you see, this is the financial statement. So these are the comparative financial statement presented along with here, restated comparative financial statement as a part of RHP. This I can say is a comparative financial statement, and here I am issuing an opinion. Here I am issuing an opinion on the comparative financial statement. These are not the corresponding figures. Okay, so this can be considered as an example of comparative financial statement. Clear? Any doubt? Thank you, Purvi. No requirement of rectification. These are the restated financial statement. So you are again issuing the opinion on the restated financial statement. So there is no ratification as such, I think, required. If you are asking for this one. And if you see in this particular, there is a remarks also which talks about the previous auditor. If you see that from which were the financial statement for the financial statement 31st March 2021 and 2020, which were prepared in accordance with the accounting standard notified by section this and other accounting principles accepted in India at the relevant time, were audited and prepared by this previous auditor. Okay, so they are mentioning that was audited by previous auditor, and accordingly they have taken and they have included that information. So they are referring to the opinion issued by previous auditor. Okay, okay. Yes, Purvi, yeah. Any other doubt? I hope it is now clear. Corresponding figures, comparative information plus other information. Thank you, Purvi. Thank you, Namrata. If no further doubts, guys, what I suggest is uh, in the next lecture, we will be starting with the fiscal audit. Okay. I'll cover that in detail, but still I'll request you guys to read about the fiscal audit, tax audit, Form 3CD, everything in detail, so that when I will be discussing, it will be helpful for you to understand. Okay. So please try to read, or you can watch my previous lecture with respect to the fiscal audit, or you can also read the study material. Okay. So that when I'll start in next lecture, it will be very, very helpful for you. Okay. Thank you, guys. Please provide your feedback. That is very important for us, and keep practicing. Very important. Thank you. Thank you for today's participating in today's lecture. I'll be meeting you in next lecture. Thank you, guys. Thank you.